Hey, 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 it's Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilient by Design. Okay, today's podcast is freaking awesome. It is totally different than anything I've done because it's all about meditation. And before you hit, nope, don't want to listen, before you pause it and move on to another episode, I just want to tell you that this woman is phenomenal. It's like she's cracked the code on meditation that's practical for you to grow your business and clarify decision making. I have so many takeaways. I took a million notes while I was in the conversation with her. And she's Sensei Victoria Whitfield. And she goes through her method to meditate, which is completely different than I have ever heard. She talks about the 5 senses, when you can do it during your workday, which makes it accessible and easy. I can't wait to try it. I'm going to report back to you guys for sure. And I think, especially as a creative entrepreneur, you're going to enjoy this episode when we talk about, towards the end of the podcast, we talk about how you can use meditation to make money. Because let's be honest, we all run a business. And, we need to care for ourselves, but we also want to run and build our businesses, whatever they look like. So stay tuned for this episode. Stay tuned. It's right now. I don't know what I'm talking about. Just ignore the host. Okay, guys, enjoy this episode with Victoria Whitfield.
All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business.
Are you looking to expand your network, gain momentum in your business, and be around your tribe of designers or decorators or architects? If you answered yes, then go check out the Collective Workspace. They offer a range of private office suites, flex workspaces, boardroom rentals, and many more perks, along with a trade-only design resource library. Oh, and did I mention a boutique gym? Their flagship space is located in the heart of Toronto. I am here right now in the Design District, with a second location opening up this fall in Mississauga. Go check them out at thecollectiveto.com or go on Instagram at The Collective Workspace, your tour, or take advantage of their free 3-day pass. All right. I'm here. Do you go by Victoria?
Yes, I do.
It says Sensei. Talk to me about that. I'm like, is it Victoria or is she Sensei? Welcome, Victoria, to the podcast. Why don't you clarify that for me and introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, so I go by Victoria. My title is Sensei. So the full enchilada is Sensei Victoria Whitfield. Sensei comes from the tradition of Reiki, which I am a master teacher in. Sensei in Japanese means teacher, right? So you've been taught to a certain point where you can now teach others. In the West, they tend to think that you if you're a sensei, that means you're gonna beat me up and I should bow to you and I'm sorry for existing and all kinds of random I get it all. But the thing that I am a master teacher in is energy work and meditation. So instead of a martial art, it's a healing art, a little bit different. Yeah.
So you're not doing karate.
No, but I love watching it.
So why don't you tell us a little bit more about your journey to where you are today? I always find it super curious when I'm talking to somebody who is outside the interior design industry. I mean, even within my own industry, people change careers and they always have. My own path is eluded. And I find it very inspiring and interesting. So maybe just tell us, how did you get to where you are today?
Sure. So for me, I never really actually wanted to do what I'm doing right now. It's followed the breadcrumbs and the twists and turns, Alice in Wonderland style, and found my way here. And so for me, originally, I actually wanted to be an English teacher. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be an English teacher, but I probably wanted to be that to please my English teacher when she asked the room, what do you want to be when you grow up? So anyway, right now, where I'm at currently is I'm the world's first Business Reiki Master, which means I do energy work and meditation training for businesses with the purpose of increasing your productivity and profits. Long story short, teach people how to get paid to meditate. And not through like some sort of like one of those paid studies or something of like, let's hook you up to a machine and you meditate and then we're going to give you $30. But instead, no, the other way around. You do a meditation that gives you the amount of clarity that you need to take actions that are money generating activities, right? To make it happen now or even exponentially increase your effectiveness. Meditation is a really powerful tool for that. And for me, how I got into this in the first place, was actually I needed it first, right? So I don't know if you remember back in the 90s, there's a guy that was like, not only am I a client of the Hair Club for Men, but I'm also the president of it. So for me, I'm like, not only a client, I'm also the president of the Hair Club for Men here because earlier on in my life cycle of trying to get out of corporate, I started going for personal growth and development coaching, business coaching. I wanted to work on myself and my mindset so that I could break free because I used to work in medical field. I hated it. Medical billing and coding was awful. It's like, oh, your dad just died on the operating table from open heart surgery. You owe us $60,000. Let's figure that out. Let's have you.
Oh my gosh.
It's soul crushing. And
that's the difference between Canada and the US. That doesn't happen here, but I hear horrific stories like that. How do you do that job? That's just no wonder you don't do that anymore.
Yeah. I'm a person who cares. So how I did that job was by suppressing myself. I used to smoke. I used to drink. I would eat, chocolate instead of food. Oh my gosh, I would suppress and distract myself as much as possible. It was toxic. And what got me out of that and like seriously considering, let me get the heck out of here, was when I was in my 20s at the time and I started getting chest pain. I'm coding claims for like chest pain of all of our heart patients. And then I was so stressed that I felt the tightness and I've never had that before in my life. And that for me, like, I'm not good with irony. So let's start finding our way out of this situation. How about it, Victoria? And so with that, going for coaching, business coaching, personal growth and development coaching, like I went into coaching to try and help better myself in my situation. And what I learned is that, oh my gosh, the more I joined these programs, the harder it was to focus. They would give me big ass binders, excuse my French, one after another, all full of pages that say start here. And one day it dawned upon me of like, all right, what if I was just to sit down and do a meditation first? Of like, let me clear myself so that I can calm down and actually work through this workbook. Because I really want to get out of this job. I hate this situation. Let me actually clear myself to do it. Because I had been learning more about meditation. It could help focus. And I did. And what was amazing is that in the meditation, I saw a vision of the exact page to begin working on in the workbook. And it wasn't the first one. It wasn't the last one. It was somewhere kind of halfway past the middle. And from that execution, doing what was on that page, I was able to start getting clients for the first time. And so I was hooked. Ever since I learned that I could meditate to focus my energy so that I could do the one thing that actually matters versus, just trying to fly by the seat of my pants. I started doing that, meditate and then meditate first and then, and that continued to build momentum over time to where I'm at now. So it's like kind of the short version.
Yeah. I mean, I love this topic. I think it's super fascinating. We have not talked a lot about this on this podcast. So I think designers are going to really like this because, oh man, I have so many questions. This whole idea of meditating to like clear your mind and focus, it sounds phenomenal, but I'm sure you have the time. The reality is far from phenomenal when you've never done it before. You don't know what to do. And I can tell you, I've been working with a business coach and she's been trying to encourage me to like every morning, like wake up and meditate or find a time at the office. And like, I think I did it for 2 days because not only do I have a hard time finding the time to do it and the quiet space, also it's like when you do it, I'm sure it takes some time and you can probably share it with us, but like, I'm like sitting there and my mind is like wandering, thinking about my to-do list, thinking about my kids. Oh shoot, I didn't do that pickup for school. So all of a sudden these like thoughts that were kind of pushed back because I've been focusing on tasks right in front of me, I'm like, I got to write this down. And it pulls me out. And oh my God, I want to be like you. So I do want to. Maybe I haven't wanted it hard enough because maybe I don't see the result. Like I don't know fully. It's not tangible to me, the results of meditating. I know everyone who does it like raves about it, but I would love, like, I don't know. So there's so many things to talk about. I don't even know, where do we start? Where do we start?
I'm so excited that you share that because I finally get to tell you a secret that I haven't told anyone else ever. I suck at meditating. I suck at meditating. This is why I'm a meditation teacher. The only reason why I'm so enthusiastic about this is because I cannot Deepak Chopra that. We may both have similar glasses and short hair and beautiful brown skin, but no, I'm not. I cannot Deepak Chopra that. He's like, oh, I meditate like 2 hours a day. Like, hats off to you, bro. I can't. And it's interesting. For me, this is, so I was just having a conversation with another amazing woman like you before this about how I don't believe in calling someone a master. I don't believe in calling myself some sort of, so in the study of Reiki as a form of energy healing for yourself, they have this thing in the West, they call you a Reiki master teacher when you get to a certain level of teaching. And I chose sensei because I don't like being called a master. Like I'm on the path of learning. I will.
It infers that you've reached the top. There's nowhere else to go. You've learned everything, which is completely ludicrous because we're all always learning and growing. Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah. And so with that, I'm a perpetual student. And so that's why I like to think of it more as like just the teacher, just sensei. That's what that means in Japanese, is teacher. And so for me, how I got better at meditating as a highly creative individual, like I am always thinking about 10 things at once. So how the heck do I harness me as like a creative or a visionary type person with meditation is I'll tell you the secret sauce is I make it sensual. So I'm not trained in transcendental meditation. I'm not. So just for the record of people, oh, you do TM and you're amazing. I'm like, no, I'm not. Maybe one day.
I have heard about that. I've also heard about, I've heard lots of methods. I haven't tried any of them. I've just tried closing my eyes. So it encourages me to hear that you don't think you're an expert and you're not good at it. Cause it's like, okay, well, if you're doing it, then I can probably do it.
Yeah. So it's for me.
Tell me, yeah. So sorry, I interrupted you. Keep going.
No. I mean, like, this is so important for you to share because like, this is a journey that we're both on. I've become making meditation like a sensual experience. And I don't mean like, sensual.
I'm like, do I have to get naked? Because this sounds like I don't think I'm going to be doing this at the office.
What office you got? Yeah. So I don't just mean da-na-na-na-na version of sensuality, but I also more in general, like it's included. I'm so not against that. That's holy and sacred and fabulous. And yes, please, thank you. But what I'm talking about is sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, 5 senses, sensual. As a creative individual, the more that I can have a sight, sound, taste, touch, smell relationship with something, the more focused I become. So for example, I want to focus. I want to meditate. I'm going to take a deep breath in a way that I can hear it. Hearing. All right. I listened to myself breathe. I didn't just breathe, but I brought in hearing. 1 out of 5 senses. Okay. How many other senses can I stimulate to help me focus? Okay. So if I'm going to, let's say, sight, as I take a deep breath in and I'm hearing the sound of my breathing, I'm going to look at something beautiful or think of something beautiful, such as, okay, I have this beautiful, like, copper plate right here. Beautiful. So I'm watching the light dancing off the sides of the copper plate. I'm thinking about the pretty designs. Ooh, nice. I'm calming down because I can hear myself breathing and I'm visually fixated on something. All right, I got 3 more senses to go. So we have sight, we have sound, taste. All right, let me, the next deep breath I take, let me have a sip of this water. Taking a sip of water. That was refreshing. It was like a taste of refreshing going through. Okay. Sight, sound, taste, touch. All right. So this is kinesthetic sense, texture. I see I have my screen cleaner. It's a soft plush cat. So I'm going to squish this cat. I'm telling you, like, this is meditating, believe it or not. This is meditating, especially if you suck at it. So if you want to learn from me, like, let's go.
I love it. I also like, where do you get a screen cleaning plush cat?
Yeah. Apparently,
all the things.
Yeah. Oh, this is so cute. It's all right.
So it could be anything, like anything that brings you joy or anything.
Yeah, something that a thing that you touch that brings you joy. So if this is the da-na-na-na-na version of sensuality, get creative. Okay, so oh, he's so squishy. This is calming. All right. Sight, sound, taste, touch, and then smell. Right. If there's, I know I have some incense burning in the room. I also have candle, right? So I have a lovely manifesting candle. So I'm going to focus on the smell of this as I take another deep breath. Oh my God, coconut, yes. Right. So the more sensual you make your meditation practice, the more you're committed to it. Because look at how much time we just ate up and focused on breathing. Because, oh my gosh, sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. For me personally, because I kind of suck at meditating, I've got to make it sensual. And the more that I've done that, the more I'm able to clear myself. Because I can't think, the more I make things sensual, the more I can't think about all the other stuff that gets done. It's like it gets crowded out. Does that make sense?
Totally. It's so brilliant. It's like, instead of just close your eyes and take deep breaths and then you're like, there's not enough. It's like you have 5 things, like you take the time to focus on different things, which draws your attention away from your mind and thinking and to the smell, to the sound, to the taste, to the touch. Like it's so, yeah, I've never, ever had anyone describe meditation this way.
Yeah. Oh, this is so interesting.
You've got this whole new technology. You need to like stamp it and sell it. No.
Happy to.
Just kidding. Not kidding. Really smart, super smart.
copy paste on that totally, because I just got an intuitive hit to say that this is essentially interior design for yourself, your mental interior, right? So bringing more sensual elements that really help you enjoy you taking care of yourself, whatever that looks like. For some people, they're like, oh, let me put the essential oil diffuser going. Or I'm going to meditate if I have that really pretty round pillow from Thailand. It's so beautiful. I'm going to sit on that and I'm going to meditate more because, again, it's sensual. Or, okay, put on like the meditation thing on Pandora or whatever, meditation music that gets you more into the mood of calming and relaxing. Because the main idea of meditation is to just practice what it feels like to be relaxed and focused at the same time. That's it. It's not to like bend your legs into a pretzel. It's not to float in midair. It's not to become suddenly like a perfect human being. It is simply just like if you're doing an arm curl at the gym, that's an exercise to, okay, I'm going to cultivate this bicep muscle. There's one reason why we're meditating, and it's simply to flex your muscle of feeling relaxed and focused. Relaxed and focused at the same time versus, all right, I'm going to focus. I'm going to freak myself out in order to focus. Or, all right, I'm going to focus. I'm going to beat myself up in order to focus. All right, I'm going to, or otherwise, I'm going to focus. I'm going to turn into a man. Like as a woman, I got to man this. Let me muscle through and kind of a, there's so many weird things that we do to ourselves in order to focus, but this special version of weird is relaxing. What
a novel concept, relaxing to focus. Sorry. It's funny because so I know the designers who are listening to this right now are like, yeah, that sounds lovely, but you don't understand because I'm so busy. I wake up and I've been guilty of saying this. Like I can't do anything in the morning. I wake up, my kids wake me up in the morning and then it's hustle. And I get to the office and it's like, I'm pretty good at time blocking so that I don't get in, my mind isn't in a million places, but still, right? Like as designers, as creatives, we are like hustling, we're doing the business, we're doing the creative, and it's like you make the time to do the thing. You're like, okay, you look at the clock and you're like, time to focus. And you tell yourself to focus. And sometimes you can't actually focus. And it takes you 3 times as long to complete a simple task. And then you look back on your day and you say, oh my gosh, I don't feel like I really moved the needle. And this is a big thing for me right now is like, I only really want to focus my energies on the things that are going to move the needle. Because you can start in your inbox at 9 a.m. and by 3 p.m., you're still in your inbox. Like, here's the thing. Your inbox will never stop getting new emails. Like, if you stare at it all day, yes, there will be more emails, right? But this idea of like relaxing to focus. Okay, 2 questions for you though. How long must one do this for to feel relaxed? First question. Second question, when, where, how often? Tell me all the things.
Mm-hmm. So my first intuitive hit to answer both questions is talking about going to the bathroom. This is a metaphor. This is a metaphor. Okay. So how long does it take for you to go to the bathroom? And how often do you go to the bathroom? My answer is, what matters most is how you feel. I can't tell you when you got to pee or do anything else in the bathroom. And I'm not going to sit there and say, you're taking too long to pee. Hurry up. Or you're not peeing enough. It's got to be 20 minutes long peeing and you got to really pee. No. So I don't come from a tradition or a belief structure that there's got to be meditation dogma. I believe that what matters most is how you feel. You as a creative can choose to create time for meditation whenever that feels good to you, just as much as you as a creative can choose to create no time for you and create as much busyness, not necessarily needle moving forwardness, but you can choose to create. This is another thing that like, oh man, I got like spirit smacked by one of my mentors early on. Oh, I'm always so stressed. I'm so frustrated. Like when I'm first learning meditation, like, I suck at this. And she's like, what? I hate and love her for saying this to me forever. Joanne, you're the best. What is the pattern in you that is creating this situation, Victoria? Because, oh, I'm so stressed, or oh, I suck at meditation, and oh, what is the pattern in me that's creating me being stressed and me sucking at meditation? No, that is so not allowed. I'm not allowed to be responsible for that.
My fault. It's not my fault.
No, it's my calendar's fault. It's my client's fault. It's everybody else's fault. I'm mad. It's my kid's fault. My parent. Blah. So that's why I'm responding with nature calling as a example of to answer both questions. I'm like, okay, how long do you need to meditate? The answer is, how long does it take for you to notice that you are relaxed and focused?
And I would imagine it varies too for certain individuals. Like I could meditate tomorrow and meditate on Sunday, and they may be different time frames at different times of the day, right? Some days I would imagine, just knowing human nature, sometimes it takes us a lot longer to unwind than other days.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so relaxed and focused, just as a side note, isn't necessarily relaxed and asleep, because that's another thing that I've seen after we're going on 12 years of me learning how to meditate with everyone around me. I'd rather call it that than teaching people how to meditate. But with that, I've seen that, okay, people are, I'm going to meditate. Like they're conked out asleep of trying to meditate. And then they beat themselves up of like, I'm bad, I'm horrible, I suck at meditating because I fall asleep. No, you tried. And that is more important than being awesome. Is trying. And versus,
if you're someone who never slows down and who never takes time to focus or breathe or relax, I know because I've been there, then the moment, actually my husband's like this, like he stops moving and he closes his eyes and he's asleep. I'm like, how do you do that? But I think if you're someone who never does take that time to relax, the moment it's quiet in your mind, you probably can easily fall asleep.
mm-hmm.
Probably called a practice for a reason. I mean, I don't know. Also, if you're lying in bed and it's 10 o'clock at night, chances are you might fall asleep, no?
Yeah. And so that's another thing. I wouldn't recommend meditating right before bed, because you're just going to go from, all right, I'm going to practice meditation. Pow, you're asleep and you have no idea how good you did. Now, if you need something to help you wind down to go to sleep, cool. I do too. Like I have listened to guided meditations that cause me to fall asleep, and that is very helpful. And if you really want to get better at meditating, though, that I wouldn't put that under the category of this is my meditation practice. No, this is you're falling asleep practice.
Right. Yeah. Good for you, because you have a way to fall asleep easily, but you can't confuse that with meditating for focus.
Yeah. And so that's okay. But with that, to answer your second question of like, okay, so then how often? First was how long, but how often? How often do you need to pee? I hope once a day. I hope.
Oh my gosh, I pee every hour, girl. I'm drinking water like I live in the desert. I pee too frequently. I have a recording of a podcast. I'm like, oh, I really have to pee. Maybe I should slow down on the water intake. Does that mean I should meditate every hour? That sounds like a lot. I don't know if I can commit to that.
Well, so you want to, actually studies have shown that the ideal productivity cycle is 55 minutes on, 17 minutes off. So that's actually, we want to go to the science route. to answer your question, actually, yeah, you do kind of want to meditate once an hour.
Have some more water then. I love this. I just need to extend the pee break, I guess. Is that what I do? Should I sit on the toilet and meditate?
That's perfect.
I mean, hey, no one can disturb me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? To be frank with you, that is actually how I got started when I was working for other people. I would go into the restroom and I just needed more space. It was so stressful that because I was managing a team of 10, that as soon as I come, it was open floor plan, which, side note, worst thing for focus ever created by man, open floor plan.
I agree. Can we just halt that for 1 second? Because as a designer, I will say now that I have my own office, so we got a 1,500 square foot office, my husband and I, and many of the listeners know this. A few years ago, we're going into year 5, which is great. His marketing firm shared with my design firm. And pre-pandemic, when we had 2 teams, open concept, part of it was cost related, but anyhow, because we had to build out the space.
Right.
It was so distracting. And I had one employee who was a little bit older and she struggled to focus and she used to get so mad and she would yell at his team for being too loud. And I was like, well, that's not really fair. They're just having a conversation. And there was a lot of dis-ease within the team because of that. But we just kept plugging away. It's like open office. This is great. It's so wonderful. And then the pandemic hit and we were all forced to work remotely. And I could not believe how much more I was able to accomplish. The team, like you could just focus on a task, whether it was my admin or a designer or my marketing manager or myself. So just to on the heels of you saying that, I think that's so important. And for designers too, that like are thinking about getting an office maybe outside the home too for focus. Once that's allowed in your town or your city, wherever you live. I think it's closed walls. There's nothing wrong. It's not antisocial. It's called, if you need to focus to do a task, you need the time without interruption. So I just wanted to add that. I just because from personal experience, now if I'm to design someone else's office space, I will encourage certain communal areas, but not this like, just slap a bunch of IKEA desks in a room. It doesn't work. Yeah. No. So focusing when you're in the toilet stall, back to how you started.
Yeah.
Middle of your workday.
Middle of my workday in an open floor plan situation. And maybe some people are listening in from that as well. And you're like, I wish I could have a private moment. Well, the bathroom is a really beautiful place to do that. And if you're just taking a few minutes to breathe or calm down or something like that, they will just think you're pooping. So relax. It's
or checking your phone. That's the one thing I noticed after we moved into our office. The office next to us was like a tech company. It was all open concept. And there was a communal like bathroom, like a ladies' room that had multiple stalls. We didn't have to use it because we had our own bathroom. But every once in a while, I would go and use it. And there was always somebody in the stall and you'd be waiting forever. And it was because the people who were in the open shared space would go to the bathroom stall and the girls would just sit there on their phone because they weren't allowed to be on their phones within their office and they just had to catch up. Imagine if they were meditating instead of being on their phone. But totally, like it is a smart place to like do the thing that people won't let you do in public. Or that you make them feel comfortable or you don't have the focus to do, whether it's being on your phone or better use of time probably is meditating.
Well, here's the thing, though, because it's actually falls in the same category. It's of self-care and relieving yourself. Because throughout the day, we are under like a total, to continue the metaphor of like, okay, drinking water, we're drinking information and drinking tasks and drinking experience, like conversations in with people. We're taking in so much of like, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do this. So-and-so said this to me. That reminds me of when I was a kid, when blah, blah, blah. I have feelings about that, but I'm not allowed to have feelings. Blah, 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 like the drinking, guzzling tons and tons of water. What are you going to do now, if your mind was your bladder, it's full. And now you got to send the invoice, right? What? No.
Can I quote you? If your mind were your bladder. I don't think I've ever thought of it that way. I love that analogy.
Yay, I'll give myself a high five. Boom. Yeah.
It's so true though. And as the day goes on, it almost progressively for me gets like more cluttered and worse. Like I might start the day being like, this is what I got ahead of me. Some days I wake up and I'm feeling strong and I'm feeling perky and good and focused. And then, something lands on me and then another thing lands on me and I see a person and they want to talk to me, but then I have this other task. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot that I still have to do this thing. And then as the day goes on, my mind, it just gets heavier. So that honestly, between you and I and everyone listening, by the time I get home and my kids are like running, I have 2 little kids, 6 and 4 years old. They come running to the door. They're like, Mommy. And they're so excited to see me. And all I can think is, oh my God, I need to be alone right now and I need to decompress. And so sometimes that looks like I reach for a drink, which I'm trying not to do as much. And sometimes if I'm really healthy, I will go for a walk, or I'm just not fully present. And it's not that I'm on my phone. I'm just not fully with my family because the day has piled so much on and I haven't slowed down because I'm trying to hustle to get everything done so I can race home to the kids, that then I'm not showing up for them. Which is like actually hearing myself say that out loud. It's like heartbreaking. It's not every day, obviously, but it is, I would say, majority of the busy work days I come home because I haven't been self-caring. I've been emptying my bladder, but not my mind during the day. I never have to pee when I get home. Actually, sometimes I do. I'm like, Mommy just has to pee. Maybe that should be my moment. Like lock the door, have a long pee, and try to meditate.
Yeah. Or pee before you leave the office.
Yeah, or plan. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So like relieving yourself so that you can be yourself. And this is, yeah, thank you. I got an intuitive hit to say that as a creative, you have a limited capacity for your energy. You have a limited capacity for your mind. You have a limited, for us as creatives, we're always coming up with new ideas and innovations and, oh my gosh, and inspiration all the time. But the same way that, thank God for our bladders, like the same way that your bladder will let you know, we're at our limit. We want to develop that kind of a response for, I'm really full of today at work. And I'm noticing that when I get home, I feel urgent and activated and anxious, even though I want to be with people that I love. Like, thank you for your vulnerability, Rebecca, because that is very healing for everyone to hear. And so with that, what then do we need? What then do we need in order to raise your level of joy and pleasure and ease? So what that could look like is then maybe at the end of the day, there's got to be a closure ritual of some sort, or this is what I call it for myself. I do many rituals to help manage my ability to focus. Rituals such as, I was just talking to my integrator earlier today. She says, I'm signing off. That is a sign that the end of the day has happened online. She's like, I'm signing off. I'll see you tomorrow. Or for me, in order to close down my at-home office, I will physically close my laptop, unplug it, and store it away in a wooden drawer. It's out of sight, and I have no TVs in this room as well. So like once all of the tech is closed and sealed away in a wooden drawer, that is a ritual for me releasing myself from that, right? I know when I'm leading retreats, for example, or VIP days with my clients when they come to see me for creative work, there's a certain point where in order for us to process all of the stuff that we just said, for one, we need to sit down and eat in the middle of the day. And then for two, we have to get out of the building and walk.
Yes, so true. Yeah.
We play like spot the animal. Like, what animals do we see? And that's it. So that you could just refresh and then come back.
So these rituals, like, I know this sounds kind of silly, but just having lunch for me, and I don't always do this, but I notice, I mean, for the longest time, and I'm sure designers can relate, you're just like, you work through lunch, right? And especially with interior designers, we're often in our cars. So we're driving, we're picking up some fabric samples, then we go to the tile store, we pop by the furniture room, we go to site, meet the contractor, zip home to the office or whatever it is. And so you pick up your Tim Hortons or your Starbucks on the road, which is not healthy, but easy, or you're eating something that you've brought with you while you're on the phone and you're eating. It's so rare to actually sit and have a meal. And then the few times where I actually take that pause, because my husband and I are now just the two of us in the office because we still haven't brought our teams back after the COVID situation that we've all been in. And he and I will order lunch, Uber Eats, we'll bring something from home. And the times where we sit down, and it's not long, it's like 15 minutes, and I should probably extend it, but that we just sort of sit down and we talk and we eat lunch, I feel more energized after, even though it feels counterintuitive. Mm-hmm. It's like, don't slow down, keep going. Because if I get that extra thing done, then I'll get that much more done. And it's like a race to the end of the day. But actually, and I guess it's a ritual, for lack of a better term, which is like, sit your butt in the chair, get some cutlery, right? And eat your food. Mm-hmm. But I know as creative entrepreneurs running our own businesses, that simple thing of sitting and eating lunch is really hard. And my operations manager, who used to be with us, who she'd worked for many companies in the past, and she used to say to me all the time, Rebecca, you need to do lunch with the team. Like, everyone needs to stop and have lunch together. And this was like greener, younger baby designer Rebecca. I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, everyone just can eat in their own time. We all have busy schedules. Like, I couldn't understand it. And yes, we would still do it, but I didn't make it like a ritual. Like, it wasn't every day. It was, hey, let's do a team lunch. And yes, some people would eat together. I wouldn't always eat with them because I didn't see the value. Mm-hmm. But now I see that if you don't take those moments in the day, you get to the end of the day and you are so much more burnt out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A great metaphor for this is pulling back on the arrow. I don't know if you've ever, maybe as a kid, like tried archery.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Summer camp. I was not very good, but I know how to hold what's it called? A bow and arrow? Yes.
You twist your arm slightly away so you don't get smacked by the line yet. So it's one thing to take the arrow in your hand and to throw it. Just forward motion. I'm going to throw the arrow and it's not going to go very far. If I'm trying to hit the target, you're throwing it and only using forward motion. Versus when you pull back on the bow, holding that arrow, that dynamic tension of going back and you release, it goes way farther. The same way that if you need to jump over something that's kind of big. All right, let me take a few steps back. Let me gather momentum and jump. This is the idea behind resting strategically as you go, right? The lunch example is so powerful. In fact, I include it in the agenda on, like, I just did another VIP day earlier this week. Right now is Thursday as we're recording. Tuesday is when I do VIP days. On the agenda is lunch followed by nature walk, because this is what happens. We're doing like the morning, they have a massage upon arrival, and then they come out of the massage, they have all these ideas, and then they want to tell me. And then if we don't cut that off with eating, they'll just keep getting lost in processing. I've observed this in my people over the years. And then when you're sitting down and eating, things will occur to you. Ideas out of left field will start to synthesize, right? In the change, the state change, the environment change, the activity change. And the same thing then happens again when we then move to going outside of, we're not even indoors anymore. You know what? And she even said, like, that gap between those two stones on the ground, I feel like there's a step missing. And I'm like, oh, tell me about that step missing. And then she started, and it was just, when you allow the change of gears, what that helps is it activates different parts of your brain that can come up with even better solutions than if you were to just keep trying to push forward. You want to step back. And this really is the power of meditation as well, to help you focus on getting the right things done rather than the next email, like you said, Rebecca, the next email, the next email, the next email. Like I have a friend who he took his company, as an internet-based company, to around a good 9 figures, and he was sharing some of the things that really helped them to hit 100 million. And he said, this is the stupidest thing you're ever going to hear, but it worked. And I'm like, all right, what was it? And he's like, we wrote before opening up any laptops or turning on the computer or even allowing the screen to come on, we would get a sticky note and write, what am I going to do? And I was like,
sticky note.
Serious? But yeah, but the power of focus is everything. As soon as that screen comes on, it's game over.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. Like I started doing sometimes we'll do strategic team meetings, and I learned this from my current operations manager, but we start the meeting and I just want to dive right in. I'm like, okay, so let's make a list and let's do the thing. And she's like, hold on a second, which drives me crazy. Cause like entrepreneurs are like, go, 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 go. Right. And then the strategy, like the operations people are like, hold your horses. There's an order. And so she always like pulls out the paper, like not this, like the big sticky, whatever easel thing. And it's like, hey, what do we want to get out of this meeting? What are our goals out of this meeting? Right. And so I'm like, okay, fine, I'll entertain you. Right. So then we say, okay, well, I want to figure out, let's clarify like this person's role in the organization. Let's come up with the job description, right, that we want to post, and like come up with a few things. And it does direct you, because you look back and you're like, wait a minute, we got off track. That was not the point of the meeting. We still haven't clarified her role. Let's circle back to where we're at. And it's been very powerful. And these are little things that I imagine you learn in business school that I didn't go to. And a lot of creatives, like we have a craft and we're like, I can design. I want to make it beautiful for lots of people. Well, actually, you're also running a business and there's all these other elements to it. And focus sometimes for creatives, as you know, can be challenging because you're like, ooh, shiny penny, ooh, squirrel. Like it's just, there's a new idea and you're all over the place. And so that's a brilliant idea. Writing it on a sticky note, like, what do I want to accomplish? Not 15 sticky notes, right? Just to be clear.
Yeah. One. And use a nice fat Sharpie. So you can't, like, I tried to cheat and I'm like, let me write my list of things.
Yeah.
No. I'm hitting my hand, everyone who's listening. And I'm like, no. So don't do it. One thing per Sharpie, and then have the satisfaction of doing the only thing and seeing it be done, and then crunching the sticky note and then throwing it out and moving on. Or what if you want to be more preserving of the environment and saving trees by using less sticky notes, erase it on your.
Yeah, there's a way.
But one thing at a time.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely, it's such food for thought, because we use Asana religiously, which has been this incredible, it's such a good program. I mean, it helps keep us all on track, and we're always trying to find new ways to use it, because it's like anything. These programs are like, there's so much you can do. So it's figuring out, how does it work for you? And so, now I'm starting to use it religiously so that we're not asking things via email or via Slack or via in person. It's like everything goes through Asana if it's a task that needs to be done. But then the flip side of that is I open up my tasks, right? And I see, like, today, I'm like, oh my God, I have all the tasks. Yeah. And so it does feel rewarding to check something off, but it's never rewarding enough, because the undone tasks are always more than the tasks that you've done, right? So I like that. It's just like, focus on the one thing.
Yeah, it's like a Pavlovian response of like, ring-a-ling, are you drooling? That, like, and Asana is awesome because you can even turn on surprise and delight, and like narwhals fly across the screen.
Oh, where do those come from, by the way? I love the narwhals. The team and I are like, oh, we just did something big. How do we get one of those again? I got to figure that out.
Yeah, I have no idea. And it just surprises and delights me. So I'm open to that. And finding a way to, all right, be careful that, all right, I just got a narwhal. Well, how many more tasks do I need to get done in order to get another one? But we want to instead ground that salivatory addictive response with physical experiences outside of the computer, because that helps you stay focused on your own energy, because you're the only person, getting back to our sensuality, you're the only person who knows what feels good to you. So sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. What do you need that feels good to you, that sensually stimulates you and helps you have a sense of closure? Because another thing, I'll try not to open a can of worms saying this, but technology is made to keep you going on technology. It can really trigger an addictive personality. So got to be careful to use things that reward you in a way that is based in how you feel versus based in the platform, right? So I wrote the sticky note. I saw it in my handwriting and I smelled that smell of the Sharpie of like, all right, I'm focusing on this one thing, and it in the sticky notes, the color that I like. And then, all right, I finished this one thing. I'm going to take the sticky note that I have, independent from what Asana is doing, and I'm going to crunch it up and throw it in that golden trash can that I love over there. So that, like, it's more about me pacing myself than depending upon the computer to pace me, because machines don't care. They're just going to keep going. Does that make sense?
And you'll never feel done. You'll never feel accomplished, because it's just going to fire off something else at you. Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, I know you talk a lot about this idea of like how meditation is super helpful. I mean, do you want to maybe just explain for those people who are like, okay, sure, yes, like I see how you could find time to meditate, but like, what about for those of us who might be thinking, yeah, but like how is it going to make me more money? Right? Like, can I, like, so what? So what? Right? So I meditated, I'm focused, and great. I make a beautiful design scheme because no one's interrupting me. Or I focus and I do a task and I throw the sticky in the garbage. So what? Like, how is that going to make us more money? Because let's be honest, if you run a business, you're in it to make money, right? Among other things. It's not just, I imagine meditation is not just like a woo-woo concept. There is actual practical implications. Is that the right word? I don't know.
That word. And applications, but implications also is true.
Thanks.
Yeah, I got you back, Rebecca. So this is another thing that like I stumbled upon of like, how the heck do I care for myself? Because I have a track record for burnout. I am like A+ superstar at burning out. Like, wow, I am so good. I may suck at meditating, but let me tell you about burnout. Let me teach a course how to burn yourself out. I'm happy to be the best.
Teach that.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a good easy course to teach. Easy to burn out. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll wear my Burger King crown for that. But like, so to meditate, the question was, how do I care for myself and build my business? Because it was like a either or. Maybe I'm weird, but I started trading my own time and health and energy for getting to finish the projects, to close the sales, to market. It's like there's no like business hours. I'm on all the time because the internet is open all the time, or because my email inbox is open all the time. And so for me, that became like on my own personal healing. The only reason why I started a personal healing journey is because I just kept hurting myself so much. Like I kept screwing up. So I'm like, maybe I should do something about that. So just as a side note, like, you're a holy person and you're so spiritual that you're on a healing journey. I'm like, no, I'm that screwed up that I've got to be on a healing journey. And I call it a healing journey because there's no end. There's no end. I'm just on it. I'm just on it. I wish I could say I'm healed, but I'm not.
You know what, Victoria? I feel like, you're not alone in that idea of screwing up, hurting yourself, whatever that looks like. And I think the pandemic really has been a catalyst for so many people, especially business owners, to reevaluate how we spend our time and what matters and focus on health. Now, not necessarily initially, like definitely in the pandemic, exercise went out the window for me, healthy eating went out the window, started drinking way more. But through that experience, I also just turned 40. There's so much going on that through that experience, I know that if I feel like this is what's happening, I know others are feeling the same, that I'm ready for that spiritual change. I'm ready to have a slower pace, but still make more money and still do really great work, still whatever it is, whatever that looks like. So I think this is a really perfect time in history in a way that people their ears are up and listening, right? So that's good to hear that, not good to hear that you had, your journey. That's terrible to say. But you know what I mean? It's nice for others to understand that, it's not like you're born, not most people I would imagine are not born innately spiritual and knowing how to take care of themselves from birth, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that you went on that journey, but has it changed your ability to make money? Like how does it help us in business? I can understand how it helps us with our own physical health, but the money.
Absolutely. Yeah. I am very money positive because I believe that when more good people make good money, more good happens in the world. So yeah, make it rain. All good rain. Blessed be. And so with that, it has gotten finer and more streamlined and more profitable the more I've continued on this healing journey of myself. Because let's say doing things inefficiently has gotten me hurt. Past has gotten me exhausted, burnt out, causing things to fall through the cracks. And so allowing those to be opportunities to get creative, to get curious, and also to get insight, not just my own, but also from others, and receiving healing myself has helped me to go from just having a little side business to now making my full year salary and having a team of 33 and all of that. And so it's a very different way to be. And how I did it was through meditating in a certain way. And let me explain this. So how one can start meditating in a way that makes you more money is different than how most all meditation is taught. Because when we think about how most meditations are, it's like you go to YouTube, you click a guided meditation, I want to relax. The goal of that is actually to just kind of slow you down, and also kind of disconnect you, slow you down and disconnect you. Now, I call that passive meditation. And that I want just to say is sacred and important and needed for those of us who are going so fast that we're burning ourselves to crisps. Absolutely, I do passive meditations that slow me down and disconnect me from, let's say, reality of I'm on a beach, laying in the sun somewhere or whatever. That is so good and nourishing for your body. It helps your central nervous system switch over from being sympathetically driven to parasympathetic, and that it causes you to digest. It causes you to release fat cells. Hey, it also helps you to rejuvenate your skin when you're in a more parasympathetic state. So slowing down and disconnecting is sacred and important. And there's the other half of the sympathetic nervous system that is sympathetic versus parasympathetic. Parasympathetic means I am not sympathizing with what's going on in general. I don't care. The house is on fire, but I am so relaxed. I could care less. This is great. That's important. That's for sleep, for rejuvenation and regeneration of the body. The other half is the house is on fire. I sympathize. Let me go get some water and put that out. Let me call 911. Let's go action. Like that kind of that other side of me. And that is also very important, especially if things need to be done. And so passive meditation activates your parasympathetic of I don't care, and that is good side to your central nervous system. Whereas active meditation triggers your sympathetic nervous system in a positive way of, okay, I'm going to meditate it for answers versus I'm going to meditate to chill out. So it's a little bit different. Let's see, the way that I specifically learned how to meditate in an active way, meaning I'm going to do this meditation so that I can get an intuitive download, or so that I can get inspiration on what's the next step, or so that I can get some insight on what needs to get done or what I'm not doing yet, etc. I'm going to pause powerfully so that I can get clear on what the next step is. That's why I'm meditating. I call that active meditation. And we learn how to meditate in that way. That is especially productive and profitable for entrepreneurs and business owners like your designers are to do, because when you pause powerfully and get crystal clear on what's the next thing that's going to make the most money or can create the next level money opportunity, then you can pause to meditate. And like, I think of my client, Joe, I taught him how to do this. We were at a retreat. He's a construction company owner. And we did a 10-minute meditation where I wasn't saying anything. It was active because he was going for guidance. He was meditating for inspiration. He woke or got up from the meditation. He was like laying down on his mat. And there he is. And he said, I just found $90,000. And I'm like, yay. And he's well, how did you do that? And he's like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know until I meditated just now that, like, oh, I'm joking about how expensive my lawn equipment is. Ha, 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 ha. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't use it. Why don't I just sell it? He could put 3 of his, the pieces of equipment that were sitting on his front lawn. He owns a farm. He could put them for sale, each $30,000 each, make $90,000. And he comes to me like, I got to find money. I got to find money. Meanwhile, right here, right under your nose, is $90,000. Great. Awesome. That's an example of the power of meditating actively in a way that helps you find money. Okay. So there's, I think of my client, Wanda, for example. She has a marketing firm and she's like a marketing consultant and stuff. She's, oh, we want to take things to the next level, Victoria. What do your guides say? Because most people think I'm the only person who has an intuition on the planet. That's all right. I'm just here to be a mirror. Find yours, okay? What do your guides say? How do we take this to the next level? No. You are going to. So I taught her the same thing that I taught Joe, is a certain way to meditate actively. Again, another 10-minute meditation. She comes out and she's like, you know, when someone has like a big idea and they get really quiet, and she's like, oh. And so she goes on her phone, goes to GoDaddy.com to see if it's available, like the name. Like she got a Google level word for her rebrand. She got like, Google is a really weird word. Like whoever came up with that, high five, you are creative. She got a Google level word and she went to see if that was available on GoDaddy and she bought it right there. And she is now in the process of her 7-figure relaunch. It's like, that came from a meditation, and it was like the whole vision of her business came from meditating in a certain way. And when we do it in about 10 minutes. But you need an extra 5 just to write down what you saw. But so around 10 to 15 minutes a day, you can meditate in a certain way. And the certain way is your intention for meditating is to receive insight of like, I'm going to meditate now. Not to disconnect and just chill out, but instead, no, I'm meditating to connect and to get the insight of what is the next money generating opportunity or the exponential growth opportunity for me and my business. That's how I 4X my business. That's how I show clients too. So just to answer your question, that's how we do it.
That's amazing. Oh my God. It's like you're speaking to my soul. I think too, like so many of us, I know I can be quite indecisive. I feel like what you're saying could help clarify so many decisions because so many of us are like pros and cons list. Should I do a rebrand? That's a perfect example, right? Should I branch out and have a product line? And it's like, well, here's the pros and here's the cons. And then we get so caught up, we get lawyery in it, defending both sides that you don't even know. And I always say like, I want to listen to my intuition more. I want to listen to my gut. But half the time, none of us even really know what our intuition's saying because our head, and I think especially as women, and I don't want to go on a tangent, we've run out of time, but especially as women, I think we tend to second guess what we intrinsically believe and know because we've been taught as a society to, at least in North America, to like, no, these are the rules. You need to follow the rules. It doesn't matter if you feel this way. You don't speak when you're not spoken to. You don't speak up, whatever it might be. We've all come through our own experiences. And so it can be very convoluted and frustrating trying to know our next move. It's like meditation helps to clarify that mind and whatever it is you're looking for. Oh, I love it. Okay, we've totally run out of time. As always happens when I'm having a good conversation. Okay, before we go, and I want you to share where everyone can find you and all that jazz, what last nugget of wisdom do you have for my designer audience?
So I would say the same thing I always say. It's choose to enjoy the journey. You don't have to lose your glow as you grow in life and business.
Ooh, I like that. You don't have to lose your glow as you grow. Wow, so good. Okay, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah. So you can find me at naturalintuition.com. That's my website. That's also the name of my book, Natural Intuition. You can get on Amazon if you want to check that out. If you're into social media, you can find me at Sensei Whitfield on Instagram, Twitter, Sensei Victoria Whitfield on Facebook and LinkedIn. And if you don't want to do all of that searching around and stuff like that, and you just have your cell phone in front of you, but you do want to connect with me and continue this conversation that we've been having, I actually have a text opportunity. So text the word ready if you are ready to unlock your inner visionary and activate your intuition in business. Text the word ready to 411-321. And that will ask for your email, and you'll get an email of a PDF called Unlock Your Inner Visionary, where I talk you through these different types of meditation and how you can really start cultivating that in your business today. So again, that's text ready to 411-321 to get that clarity guide.
That is awesome. I'm going to definitely follow you on all the places. And I'll report back to you on my meditation journey. But I think this is a super helpful episode, and I hope that designers feel the same way. It's so powerful to take matters into your own hands and take control. So thank you so much, Victoria, for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Well, that was a completely different episode. I hope you guys see what I mean about it being really practical. It's very actionable. I mean, I have had coaches in the past encourage me to meditate and have recommended different types of meditation. But the way that Victoria talks about it, it just sounds so much more tangible and achievable. I don't know. I'm really curious to see how you guys do with this. If you're in our Designer Meetup Facebook group, can you please post and let us know, do you meditate? I wish there was a way to pull people on a podcast, comment below, but I realize that's not a thing. Because I'm just super curious how many other creative entrepreneurs do this. And maybe we can do a live and we'll follow me on Instagram, and I'll let you know if I'm going to go live and we can talk about this topic in more detail, because I really think it's a very powerful way for us to up-level our businesses. And just go check the show notes if you want any of those links. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Always keeping it fresh here on Resilient by Design. All right, that's it. I'll see you guys soon.